So let's talk about our access modifiers. So right now in our example, we made pretty much everything public, right? Except for the static values that allows us to figure out the current ID. But normally we don't want everything to be public because we're causing possible issues when someone else programs. Normally the rule of thumb was that we always make it private and we open it up as the requirements are needed. So if, let's say, first name and last name, normally we would set this to private, and then if need be, we'll make it anything else. But if we make these two things, in this case, these two fields, private, we're enforcing that student does not have access to their own first name. So you could see here, I'm getting an error because private is private to the class, right? So I'm getting an error saying I don't have access to this field anymore because in the parent class, it's private. You could think of it like your parents usually give you a lot of things, but they don't give you direct access to their bank accounts. If you want to have access to their bank account, well, they might give you an allowance, a portion of it, not everything. So if we wanted to, we could create maybe a getter that's public, let's say, to get the first name, right? And return first name. So now inside the student class, I could access this method, which gives me the first name in an indirect manner. So get first name, right? Because the first name method is public. And we could do the same thing for the last name, right? And we could fix all of these issues. So get first name and so forth, so on. So even though we're inheriting everything from the parent class or the class that we're extending, we still might not be able to see everything because of the access modifiers. There is one specific access modifier called protected. Protected is interesting because it allows access to that field or that method to any inherited class and inside Java, all other classes inside the package. Normally outside of Java, you won't have that. Protected would only mean subclasses, classes that extend, children of the current class. So if I wanted to, so that first name and last name don't get changed from outside, I could either create a public getters, or I could also make these more like protected. So now student and teacher have direct access to first name, so they don't need to say this getter as an example. But they also have access to the getter because it's public. And normally, if we were in a different class, superclass shouldn't have direct access to names either. But in this case, you will see it because we're in the same package. But normally, this would give you an error because they're protected. Okay, so this is the last access modifier that we're going to talk about, which is protected, which means any subclass, not parent class, any subclass will have access to these fields or these methods by while it has the access modifier protected. And you got to remember that protected is just one level before public, right? So we have public, protected, then we have package private, and then we have private, which is the most secure. Now, package private compared to protected is a bit more public because you could have a subclass in a different package that's inheriting from this, let's say, person. And because it's protected, even though they're in a different package, they would have access to it. But package private, the default one, you would only be able to access it inside that package. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to go further. So a dot first name equals some value, right? We have access to it. This is because, again, Java is a bit different from others. So protected allows anyone in the same package and any subclass, any inherited class to have access to it. Thus this works. Cool. I'll see you guys in the next video.